OEDQ, and I'm on my Ranger. I am really falling back in love with my Ranger big time because I'm on the FV server now. I'm in a different guild. I'm in a guild that, I actually have an opportunity to group with other people a little bit more. So I enjoy playing my Ranger with other people much more than I enjoy playing my Necro with other people. As a general rule, if I'm just kind of in a loner kind of mood, or I just want to kind of do my own thing, I'll be on my Necro. But it's not like I'm opposed to, being in a group with my Necro. It's just I just have a little bit more fun with my Ranger. And so here we go. I'm 125. I don't have his AA's max, so I'm still hanging around here. But I get all the AA's max for the bow damage and things, and headshot and stuff like that. So I'll probably head over to Morris Falls sometime pretty soon. But you're used to seeing me, anybody that's watched my channel, on my Ranger back when I was having issues with mics and stuff like that. You've seen me on this guy headshot in here, but now I can talk a little bit easier, and in it seems like this mic on my iMac works better. So I use iMac, the M3 iMac. I got a little over a year ago, and yeah, I'm real happy with it. I use what do you call it? Crossover to run EverQuest live, and I miss. There's some missing textures here and there once in a while, but the game itself plays fine. And I just thought I'd do a little headshot in here and kind of chit chat, maybe kind of make some comments about how Rangers do this and what generally is the best way. Covered this before, but I wasn't very good with doing the videos and stuff, even just getting things to record. I was using OBS, and for a good while I was using Linux, and Linux is great, but I've gotten older now, and I just don't feel like tinkering like I used to. So and Windows is an absolute crap show in my opinion anymore, especially with Windows 11. So I moved to Apple, and after my last Windows machine got completely borked because of the first Copilot update, absolutely bricked my machine. I couldn't reinstall Windows. I couldn't get into the BIOS. I couldn't do anything. It was absolutely horrible. I'm not exactly I know a few techie things and stuff, so I felt pretty confident once that happened. I was like, I could probably fix this. And if nothing else, I'll just reinstall Windows and start from scratch. But yeah, no, that did not work. And that system was not that old either. I got it over near the beginning of COVID, and it blew up on me just after 2 or 3 years. And to me, that's not that old, because I play older games. I don't need really that much horsepower in the stuff I play. So anyway, I'm doing this, and through observations here, you're probably seeing things. If you're observant with the casting bar up there, you can probably see what I'm casting. But I'm not just auto-shotting. In my experience, trying to do headshotting by thinking it's just so easy. Auto-shot, will proc it, and then you get a negative idea on headshotting because they nerfed it so bad, now it hardly ever procs. And it's because you're not really doing anything. All you're doing is rooting and letting the auto shot take care of it. If you do that, yeah, it's not going to proc that much. It might proc a little more if you have some AAs set to go off. That will help your haste or accuracy and things like that. But as a general rule, if you just know how Daybreak or Darkpaw or back when they were Sony on, their general philosophy with Rangers is they don't want people to just be able to do damage without doing anything. You gotta have to, as the game matured, they realized you gotta have to require the player to do something, even if it's not that often, but something, in order to play their class pretty well, right? And headshotting is no exception. Now, some people, if they're over geared and over leveled for an area, even just auto shotting, it's going to go off a good amount then, because the level your character is going to influence it a bit. And the bow you use, the damage on the bow is going to make the headshots hit harder. So what I'm doing here is, okay, I'm going to pause after this guy dies, which won't be very long. I'll help it along a little bit more here. Get away. All right, he's about dead. All right, so, oops, there we go. All right. Okay, this doesn't really help down here as much. These are all the buffs I have on. And that's kind of clunky. It's kind of, okay, I'll tell you what. I'm going to go one by one. Okay, when I headshot, I use flaming arrows because there's a stun. This is the benefit I have for my illusion. It gives other stats that don't count anymore because of my level, but it gives a percentage of haste, a good amount of haste that's from the illusion that puts me very close to the haste gap, just self-buffed. If I have Guardian, one of the Guardian of the Forest AAs, either Group Guardian or Guardian of the Forest, I'll get really close to the haste cap. I don't think I'm quite right on it yet, but yeah. And this is the mount. All right, this is the Arcing Blades proc that will make you invulnerable, basically, or just parry everything in melee range. This has damage to it, and it will proc when you're bowing, but it is far less likely to break root when it goes off and does its damage because the damage is a lot lower than the other one that's more offensive based. So I use this. I use this weapon buff, and I use Engulf by the Hunt, and then there's the protection, eyes. A lot of these, if you play Ranger, this is the the cleric buff that the Merc does, and I always have this on for the debuff it gives if you do get in melee range. And I got enrichment on. That's my illusion because he's normally a wood elf. I like to have these dark elf illusions on almost all my characters simply because the dark elf model is, you can, if they use a mount much at all, this is just for the lulls because of Dritz and stuff, but if you use a mount, this will, you can put the illusion on plus whatever illusion, where are they at? Oh no, hang on. Illusions, right? You can set a stat illusion down here. This one is the Minotaur one. That's the illusion. I got this. There used to be an old card game with this game here. I'm going to go ahead and just invis and sit. And I got this through that. And the illusion benefit gives you enduring breath and increases strength by 30, which isn't much, but it increases haste. And if I remember right, it's somewhere around, 40, 50, 60%. I don't know. It's a pretty good amount. This strength doesn't really count because the stats are maxed and it's not heroic. And enduring breath doesn't matter because everybody has an enduring breath part of their helmet for their class gear. Their visual thing always has enduring breath, so nobody worries about drowning anymore if they're higher levels. But the haste actually does count. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead, go to stats here, and we'll figure it out. All right, the haste right now is at 199 without Guardian or Group Guardian. This is just self-buffed. I'm at 199 for the haste stat. Where is that at again? Right up here. Haste percentage. I think it caps at 220, maybe, something like that, 225. I just know I'm really close, self-buff, but I'm not all the way there. It helps if I have like Shaman haste or something like that on me, just an extra little oomph. And then like with Shaman haste with the max level of their aura, then that just puts me perma all the way up to the top. So I'm going to take this illusion off and see where it goes. All the way down to 159%, right? That's a big chunk. That is a chunk, isn't it? I'm going to put it back on by just hitting my Dark Elf mask. And then that's because it's the it's the stat illusion thing, and that pumped it right back up to 199, right? So if you have the opportunity to, if you in the bazaar, if somebody's selling this as a prize, where's it at again? Right here. Visage of the Embattled Minotaur. There's multiple Minotaur type illusions, so you have to make sure this is the only one. It's the one I have, so this is the one I know for sure has the haste on it. But this is really nice to have if you play any kind of melee character or ranger or any character that uses combat haste, because this will stack. This stacks with Bard haste which is over haste. It stacks with any other haste spells from the Shaman or Enchanter, and it, the AA that we have, Guardian of the Forest. Let's go ahead and put that on. What hell? What the hell? I'm at 199. When I have that going, I'm at 208. Okay, maybe not quite as close to the max as I thought, but yeah, it's pretty close. I mean, it's up over 200. There's a soft cap on the haste for each character. But that's good stuff, man. So anyway, so I got that, blah, 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 blah. And then and this right here is, it's a buff, and if I'm grouping with somebody that has something better than this, it's going to take its place. Whatever, it's fine. I just throw it on to me and my Merc just to have another buff. So that's that. Let me go over the spells, right? Bluster and Fluster, always in the first two. There is no rank 2 of Fluster Bolt. There's only rank 2 of Bluster Bolt. And I've been using the Elder's Grasp. It's a level 70. I don't think there's a rank 2 of this. You know what? That's something I have not checked out. So in the comments, let me know, man. I'm going to check it out on my own anyway, but it's something to chat about in the comments. Because I think ground level 70 is when they started the whole rank 2 stuff. I might have to check that out to see online. Anyway, so this is the one. This is the arrow. You notice I have a lot of arrow icons here. It's because when I do damage, when I use spells that do extra damage and stuff, there's only one exception. That this right here. Anyway, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. I do that a lot. I'm sorry. All right, when you have a spell, this one here, Inevitable Shots, a lot of people know about this. It gives a buff to the archery damage, and everybody thinks that only counts toward the auto shots. That is wrong. It counts toward any ability, whether it's spell or AA, anything that does archery damage, okay? And this right here strikes them down with 2 archery attacks of this amount of damage, for 149 damage, and 2 archery attacks of 397 damage. And then this also puts the debuff that causes them to take 40% more damage from archery attacks. Okay? That 40% more damage is going to count toward anything that has archery attack or archery damage listed for it. And this right here, Frenzy of Arrows, strikes your target with 4 archery attacks with the base damage, it's archery attacks, of 378. Now my current bow, which is awesome, I got this for like 500K here on FV, and this is crazy. It's well beyond what I could probably get on my own. The whole, it's just awesome. Anyway, the base damage is with this right here. It's listed on here. It's 777. It's pretty awesome. Can dig it. These are other stuff that's everybody has. Not everybody. I mean, just they're the multi-stat and the general. So that helps out too. This damage helps out with the make them stronger, as well as ancient arrows. As far as I know, it's been a long time since I've played my ranger regularly, but for the longest of times, this right here is it was the best arrows you could use. Okay, I will revisit the arrows. Anyway, you add that damage to this, so you add 23. This makes it a solid 800 damage, because you add the arrow, not only the arrow damage, but also the arrow range to whatever is marked on your bow. So that's archery damage there from those. And right here, this is what they call progression spells. I never upgrade my progression spells because I'm just old school. I just grind and kill rares and group and stuff. And I don't do tasks and missions very often. I do, if somebody else is doing them, I'll help them do them and stuff, but I don't really care about that. This cast the highest rank of this right here. Summer's the Luge. This is a nuke. If you notice, it inflicts damage from heat and damage from chills or cold damage, right? And it generates hatred, which that's not that much. 885, whatever, man. So but this is spell damage. You're like, so why does it have an arrow icon? It's because this right here strikes your target with 2 deadly arrows of base damage of a buttload. It should just say buttload. Anyway, arrow damage of 2,945. And this lowers the hatred by a way more than this increases it, by the way, in case you care about that. But So the spell damage increases your hate a little bit, but this arrow attack that's part of this spell, all in one, will lower it by much more. It negates it hugely. So this is an arrow. This gives arrow damage. This right here, I have on just to have an extra nuke, but it says it's a magic arrow that pierces the heart of an animal or humanoid target, dealing this amount of damage. If it says it deals that damage, okay, but it doesn't give, say, a arrow base damage for the damage, even though it says it shoots an arrow, it's a magic arrow. This is really a nuke. It's misleading. They have the arrow icon, but this right here, the heart whatever. This one's called Heart Break. The one before this was Heart Ruin, Heart whatever. This is a nuke. And it requires a spell component, which is an arrow. I make those, and I'm not much of a crafter, but because I'm a ranger, and the whole idea, you make your own arrows and stuff like that. Kind of, I don't know, I do it, and I got a buttload of those. They're not that hard to make. My skills, I don't have a trophy for it or anything. These are very easy to get up to the skill level to be able to make these, no problem. And you don't need to worry about stats. This is a spell component, so any of this crap right here doesn't matter. It just needs to use these to cast that spell. I got a lot of them on here, a lot more than I really need, but because there's AAs I have that will return spell. You don't use a spell component every time you cast something. It helps those last longer. So that's that. And I got the dots for when I'm grouping. I don't, once in a while, if I just feel like using them, I will. But I just, when I'm headshotting, when I'm soloing, I don't really use those. And then these are the buffs that are up here that I already showed you. I don't really have, I do have 2 spell lines. One's I just got combat. This right here, combat Vine Lash. Instead of this single target Elder's Grasp, it has the AoE. I'll put it up. I'll just okay, I'll just load it. See, it only changes this, and this will change the 3rd type root I have to a higher level root, but it's AoE and not targetable. So you could, I'll just stand up and do it, but you could cast this without having anything targeted. And I shall do so. I'll hit my number 3 button. And there you go. See? Boom. I'm too far away from this guy for it to get him. So that's why I didn't do anything. It goes out in the area in front of you in sort of a cone. Okay? The farther away it gets within its range, it'll kind of spread out to the side a little bit. You get used to the feel of it, kind of where the cone is. They don't mark it, not like in other more modern games. You just have to get a feel for it. Okay? And that was a level 98 spell. Whereas if you notice, this is much older, like level 70. I don't know. This is a single target, and it is tab targeted. It's not very powerful, and it gets resisted a good amount. But, excuse me. But it's generally smarter to use in groups anyway, and I just didn't. It's not that big a deal. There are certain situations when you're headshotting, if you want to headshot groups. I can cover that some other time. It's getting near the time I have to kind of get on with my day. I'm just kind of making this video kind of quick, and as usual, it's a lot longer than I thought. But there are definitely usage cases for Vine Lash. That's why I have it as a separate spell thing. So whenever I want to use it, the City of Bronze is a really good place to practice using Vine Lash in a very good way. The arrow, there are targetable and AoE arrow spells that used to be a good way to headshot because the headshot would go off for all of the targets. They nerfed that, and now they still do damage, but they do not do headshotable damage. So if you're using an AoE version of a spell, like for example, this right here, it says focused. It's because there is a version of this that is not focused. When it says it's focused, this is single target. The non-focused one, in the title of it, means that it is an AoE. It hits like up to 4 targets, I think. But you will not be able to headshot. The only target that will use that for headshotable is the one you have targeted. The extra targets that it hits will not be counted as headshotable targets. So I always use the focused version of this, even if there's an upgraded version that does a little bit more damage. I use this until I'm able to. That's usually one of the. It's like the second X pack. You get the level X pack that increases levels, and then you have another X pack after that. I think it comes in that has like the progression spell. The progression spell X packs, I think, is the ones where you get this. I think. I could be wrong on that. It's been actually I just got this not too long ago. I should know, but I'm blanking on it. I could be wrong. Maybe that could be a Lorien Song spell. That isn't necessarily Outer Brood. So just forget all that. But when you're headshotting, what I do is I only use these 2 arrow spells when I'm headshotting. Once in a while, if I just want to finish something off, or if I just feel like, this has arrow damage, so I'll use this. But you only cast this once. I think it's a minute is the cooldown on it. It's a really long cooldown. I'm like, I'll just do this. I got my shots button here has 4 and 5. These 2 shots on it. I use this when I'm in melee range too, to have the other melee things that you can do, the drop kicks and maelstrom of blades, in case for some crazy reason I'm off tanking in a group. I want to keep some kind of aggro, I think. I won't last that long. That's why I have my defensive things on here. So I'm like, oh no, I'm off tanking. I hope I survive. I'll hit my defense and pray, We're not meant to tank anymore, guys. We're not meant to tank. Even off tanking in current content is a roll of the dice big time. Even with it's just, So the technique I use, you saw me doing it, and I'm just going to go ahead and do it. This should be, okay, we got to get over here. I would go right to left on these. Okay, get him, pull from a million miles away. I love that. And let him get up over the hill so I can snare him. I hit number 1, and I'll go over the macros again. Oops, I turned my auto shot off. All right, there we go. And hit that arrow and he's dead. Okay, these 2 spells will help. This has 4 arrow shots, and this adds 4. So these right here are kind of like quadding when you are, and they cost very little mana. You can be you're going to stay at pretty much max mana all the time if you only use these 2 spells for damage. You never lose mana. So I'll do it again right here. I'll snare him and root him back. Get away from me. Arrow spell. Now, if you notice, I got pure shot going here. It's an automatic thing I have starting up every time I auto fire. My auto fire, I'll show you the macro. And there, I got my finger over my 4 button. It has those. Oh, he's coming up. I'm just going to hit my root button, which is 3. And I'm going to hit 4 again for a spell shot. And he's just melting away and die. He's dead. Right? So I know that happened fast. She was like, well, you got pure shot going. Of course it's fast. And you got these you got your guardian up. Of course it's going to be fast. Well, yeah, it is. But it's not that, that's faster. It is faster, but if you're only auto shotting, it's going to go slower, and it's going to give you what am I trying to say here? You're not going to have the right idea of how effective or how often headshot can go out, can proc if you're only doing auto shots and rooting. Okay. Now the roots, for some reason, it does seem to I think they have some sort of a detector when on the ranger class when you're shooting stuff for headshot, that it detects if you're using spells or not, right? So if you're only using, because they don't want you to just sit and just be able to do nothing and have stuff die. That's not a good game mechanic, okay? As much as you think you can do that, and you can't, they'll let it happen to a certain extent, but if you're just auto-shotting for headshots, you're not going to be killing stuff that much faster than what I just did. I mean, actually, no. I mean, I'm doing what I just did. I'm going to be able to kill like 4 times as fast. So, all right. So headshotting, other influencers of the headshots and stuff is obviously dex. Okay, it doesn't list that when you hit this right here, and it says chance to hit, damage done, and chance to raise skills, whatever. The dex, dex is like a super stat for any non-class or caster class. You know, it affects so many things in this game. They've become over the years over reliant on dex, I think, on characters, but there are people that tank, and they see tanking as sometimes even more beneficial than stamina nowadays. Dex is the king of all stats. Get as much dex as you can, especially as a ranger, obviously. That influences headshot and just all the stuff it says, and crits and stuff like that, for bow damage and everything. I'm much more of a bow guy than a melee guy. How I get my dex up like that, even though I'm a very casual person, this is T1 visible gear for Lorien Song. And then I've got some non-visibles that are pretty good, you know, but this is Lorien Song T3, you know, there's stuff. I got a blood-soaked ring there. This right here is Luklanite still. I got to get an upgrade ring there for adroitness. But my gear isn't outside of my bow, and this right here is really good too. This is from Outer Brood. On FV you can get stuff in the Bazaar you can't on other servers, so I took advantage of that. So I got this guy here. I always use the ones that proc a healing, okay? Because I use spells. People think that, oh no, that if you're headshotting, the proc for your melee weapons won't go off. Yeah, it will. I used to think that too, and I was like, oh no, that kind of makes sense. Maybe they changed that. No, they didn't, because it triggers on spells, hostile spells, right? Roots are hostile spells. These right here are obviously hostile spells. Okay, so this will trigger a heal on me. No biggie. I mean, it's not going to break root. You don't want to break root when you're headshotting. So if you have a weapon that does damage, extra damage of some kind for your melee weapon, if you're headshotting the way I'm saying is to use your spells, the arrow spells along with the roots, you're going to break root all the time. And again, you're going to think, oh, ranger root sucks, blah, blah, blah. You know, no, you're doing it wrong. Okay. Because roots are hostile spells also, and it'll occasionally go off because of that. I also use a shield even when I'm headshotting, because you're able to add, the shields have a lot more stats than another weapon. Well, certain stats, right? AC, things like that. But you can only put damage. At least the weapons I'm able to get, it only has this general thing on it. The shield gives you usually more AC and stuff, and you can also put other stuff in here. You know, if you want an extra I haven't put in the current Type 3 Augs yet, so I'm running with no Type 3 Augs also for any of my spells that enhance them a little bit and all that stuff. You know. So this character isn't finished by any means. So that's what I do to kind of give me a little extra boost for my dex and stuff, and survivability. Currently, I got like 9,500 AC for the. I forget if is that avoidance. No, it's a chance to take less damage. This is avoidance here, I think. Evasion, yeah. So the green number is mitigation, and this gray number is evasion, right? So, I have I still wear my tier of Valeris because the overall skill mod for defense 5%, it scales, as well as because it's a percentage, it will scale through all levels and everything. Um, so even though this is kind of minor type stuff by today's standards, but this right here is why I use it, because it helps me a little bit in melee range. Every little bit of melee range help you can get to survive, I generally take. So what else? That's all I want to say about. Do you have any questions about it? I'm not an expert at this or anything, but a lot of people, they throw a ranger in with like a box group, and they never really dive deep into really what rangers are capable of, what you can do with the class. A lot of people that box a lot, they know some of the basics of how the various characters or classes they use in their box team works, as they coordinate with each other a bit, but they really don't know how to play each one of those classes, with the exception of maybe a class that they see as their main. They really don't have a really good idea of the depth of the other classes they use in their box group. They just throw them in there for a little extra DPS or extra healing or extra buffs or haste or whatever, and they don't go into the deets of it all. So for people that don't really, I might be clearing up some misunderstandings you might have. I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there on the internet and trying to be helpful. And, if this benefits somebody, cool. I'm not, I don't have any delusions of being a streamer or content creator or anything like that. I'm just a guy that likes to play this game, and I throw stuff up when I think about it that might help people. So there you go. This is Elwood EQ, and I think I'm out. Have a good one.